Ladies, gentlemen, and others in chat, welcome to another drawing stream. It is our second attempt at Tutorial Tuesday, and hopefully, or not hopefully, we probably will finish this little cloud tutorial that we started last week. Featuring Amelia Watson and Gawr Gura from Hololive English with last week I was contemplating at the tail end of the stream to take another pass of the cloud because I could do better. Like, it's too, how to say, it's too hard, too edgy. Like, it's not puffy enough. So the big, which is not necessarily bad, but like, I'm looking at this other, looking at sort of the master example, and you can, like, you don't necessarily have to make a carbon copy of the master study or of the reference. Make your own spin out of it, right? And yeah, it's not terrible. But I just, excuse me, and being sharp and edgy like this, like this one is also sharp and edgy. Like, it has lots of sharp edges here and there, but I think it is because the contrast is so high. Like, if we turn on our value check here, like, it's a pretty steep thing. I don't think that it applies. No, it doesn't apply to it. Because if I'm pretty sure if you, this looks like it's much closer in value, and that makes it softer. It's not just the edges. It's the color, temperature, and value differentiation between this, because like this goes from fairly warm to ice cold. Like, god dang, this is on bottom of the glacier kind of temperature. But there you have this big chill purple, and it's because the purple base that I use is kind of closer to this one, when it should be this Like, look at this is a much like if we just turn off everything, even the speech bubbles, and we're just gonna do some sampling. What? They're borderline the same? Are you kidding me? Oh, this one is. Wow. I've known that like values and colors can like trick you, but like god dang. Where is my cloud layer? I need to turn off everything except my cloud. Kind of go like, all right. So those are the two, but mine is, oh yeah, like it should be that, but I get that. That is a pretty, like it should be this value, but it's that value. That is a pretty substantial difference. So that is my quote-unquote mistake. Although it's not necessarily a mistake, but and we could, instead of starting all over from scratch, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, not gonna lie, but we could instead try to fix it, salvage it by doing some edits, instead of throwing the whole gosh darn thing in the trash. So let's try that first. But we're gonna copy it and we're gonna lock the layer, lock it and hide it, and let's just see what we can make up. And I will, after we salvage the brush, the cloud, poor Amelia poor Miss Watson over here, and her jacket coat could use some much needed love. And I'm also want to go like something with the sea coast thing here. Like normally you would go like, oh yeah, you have a sunset here, but obviously the sun is over here. So I'm not sure, because normally if you have the sun in the center, then you would like, then you will have like, oh yeah, you would have like this kind of thing going, rippling at the center, right? Hey. Kind of thing going on, right? That looks like a incredibly terrible hot dog thing. Anyway, basically something, but that something needs to do, because like it can't, or it could, but probably shouldn't be so simple. But anyway, one thing at a time, chat. One thing at a time. I think one of the biggest adding? Oh no, I'm not adding. I'm not adding anything to this selection. So we're just gonna have to use hotkeys, but that's okay. Speaking of hotkeys, my keyboard has this fancy kind of basic mechanical keyboard. It has this very it can have also the keys can have like a rainbow, or it can shine different colors, and normally I just have it like a default rainbow thing because I don't know, I don't want to pick favorites. And I pressed the hotkey for changing the color. Hang on, I'm not sure if it should be probably come from the other side. Maybe, I think we're cooking, chat. Maybe we can salvage this. Yeah. Maybe we just do it without the lasso tool to give it that much needed softness, because we need some. It's a bit more advanced discipline, probably a little bit above my weight class in terms of skill, but there is a variation. You need variation in shapes, big, medium, small, but you also need variation in your edges. Hard, soft, and lost. Hard edges is what you see with right here, like hard edges galore. Soft edges is basically blurred. Hard edges has been blurred, but you can still kind of go like, yeah, there's a hit. I can see the transitional point. This somewhere in this wide range is a there's a transition from one color to the other, or one value for that matter, and lost edges is essentially just a seamless gradient. You can't really distinguish where one color or value starts and the other ends. And I think, like, it looks... I've kind of tried to emulate it with the ambient, with the opacity brush, like getting this sort of thing here going instead of this, but and I do know that there is like a smudge tool that will allow you to sort of smudge things out a bit. I think that yeah, because again, you're trying to look at it and just go like, he doesn't, the purple doesn't really go too deep into it, but he also allows some blue to sort of taper into it, so yeah. A little bit. And also trying to think in terms of like roundness, because it's just a bunch of puffy, round, squishy spheres in various shapes and sizes stuck together. You get a cloud. Yay! You get a cloud, you get a cloud, everybody gets a cloud. Is this an idiot who wants to go like 3 brushes on a dream, and I want to make do with just these 3 brushes as best as I can? Kind of like, because there is a smudge blend brush thing. Let's see if we can just, not necessarily all of these, but some of these, and have them like, maybe. Not necessarily turning them. Yeah. Yeah, and you gotta do the same here. Sort of this. Give them that little bit of that airy puffiness thing. I know what I'm talking about. I use all the technical terminology when you're talking about. To sort of puff it up a little bit, you know? Let's just make this one big. Yeah? Am I cooking, chat, or am I getting cooked? I think that's the question every artist asks themselves. Oh, in other news, aside from me getting cooked, Sunday's stream was a bit of a bit of an embarrassing and disaster. So, because the stream was lacking and frames were dying, so in an effort to remedy that, I went to the store and bought myself an Ethernet cable and had a bit of a minor project. I mentioned this probably before on stream, but I don't have a network point in my little tiny office where my computer is. But I do have on the opposite side of the wall, where the TV is. And that is all good and dandy, but I can't really couldn't find a way to sort of like connect. Ideally, I would like to have like this sort of thing done nice and tidy and properly. But now for the makeshift, it kind of just goes around the wall through the doorway. So now I can't close the door properly. And but yeah, now I have Ethan. Now I have a LAN connection, so things should be buttery smooth. Let me know if it isn't. And the hilarious thing about it, we go like, all right, now I have Ethernet, now I have LAN connection. Let's test this sucker out. And I did what most people would do when they're testing out their network connection, network upgrades. Let's download a game. And holy smokes, that was some upgrades. I never really noticed because I've kind of fallen to the wayside when it comes to the whole video game thing. So I haven't really noticed much of it, but when I be once in a blue moon, I go like, oh yeah, I want to play a game and download it, and I go like, oh, it takes time to download it. Well, you know, whatever. I will just start to download before I go to bed, and I'll sleep, and I'll wake up, I'll go to work, and by the time I come home from work, you know, I can't play it when I'm sleeping, and I can't play it while I'm at work, so I might as well just spend that time downloading it. The computer's not going to complain, it's just going to be sitting there cheering at it. I come back home from work after dinner, boom, the game is finished, downloaded, installed, and it's all good to go. Effective use of my time. So I don't really care that it takes a small eternity. But now, these suckers downloaded in like 10 minutes flat, or 10-15 minutes, and I go like, wow, this sucker used to take 8 hours to 10 hours to download, and now it's just down in 10 minutes. Apparently, I've been living it in 1998 for a long ass freaking time. But I never really bothered to do anything about it, because like the internet that I had, which isn't bad, it was just the bottleneck was the Wi-Fi. Or the bottleneck is actually on probably the network card on the Wi-Fi card on my PC, because I use the one that comes on the motherboard. Hey, we got people from YouTube. Welcome. But anyway, so that was fun. If you can't laugh at yourself, you can't. There isn't really that much you can laugh at, in my humble opinion. I mean, but let's take a look at Mr. Cloud, and yeah, I mean, that's improvement, I think. Yeah. 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 I'll call that an improvement. We'll just delete the old Cloud. All right. Cloud done. That's the stream, guys. No, I'm just kidding. Well, let's give Amelia Watson. I'm kind of happy with how Gura is, so I don't think we're gonna bother dealing with this. The dialogue boxes are kind of optional. We have shadows. They might be too saturated, and we need to do something about the shadow. We also need to do something about the I mean, it does have the same blue, da-ba-dee-da-ba-da. Which, if we're gonna use the same color palette, keep things consistent, we need... What do we need, chat? We need... some red and yellow. We need some red and some yellows. Maybe some blues. The bright blue, not the dark blue. Put it up a new layer above the sea. And start with basic opacity brush and so just, you know, let's make some waves, chap. Wee, look at me go. So what else has happened? Well, I've been on job hunting, so don't worry, chat. I have a plan. Let me cook. Big, medium, small. I had a job interview today, and it went fairly well. If I may say so myself. Excuse me. And so we'll just have to wait and see what we will get from it, right? Gotta keep up gotta remain optimistic about these sorts of things, chat, and not lose hope. And I kinda, obviously you shouldn't celebrate too early and all of that jazz, and also don't hype yourself too much up because you're setting yourself up for disappointment if you don't get it. But holy smokes, it sounds really right what I'm after, ideal, what I've been doing for the past 15 years now. So yeah. Also, I basically don't the commute to work becomes like 20 minutes or something like that. No, not even that. It's gonna be 30, no, 10 minutes. Think of like 10 minutes, basically walking distance, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. So, fingers crossed. Like a whole hour into the interview, so. Fingers crossed that we will get what we get. It'll be a nice Christmas present, not gonna lie. Although I do have I feel a little bit bad for my coworker who will be left holding the bag. I'm like, because it's gonna really not feeling this one. This is not turning out very well, super well, question mark. But I don't have any plan for this. I don't have really. I'm not really good at water, drawing water, as you might have. No, this is just no, 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 no. Or okay, we're gonna trust the process, chat. I don't really like it, but we're just gonna have to trust the process and don't judge it too early. Well, and I kind of don't like one thing is like yeah, we could. No. But that's what I get for going in without a plan, chat. I don't have a plan for the water. For the sea. I mean... Well, staring at the canvas is not going to do anything. Instead of doing that, let's focus on poor Ame here, who looks not very like herself. How do we approach this, chat? Like, I don't wanna... I don't know. There's something weird about the way that her legs are posed. Like, I get that you kind of go like you don't necessarily want them to stand straight up and down because like it's not dynamic enough. Like you lose the gesture because you want to go like wee. Because like, who stands like that with their knees inwards like that? So yeah, we could try and because this is all one layer, right? Yeah, we could try and guess. Nope. I have a tendency of typing the wrong. Or how? Okay, I might be cooking here. Cooking here, chat. Let's cook a little bit. Let's try and cook a little bit. What if her leg was kind of like coming down a little bit like this, and then you had that. Yeah, because then you know, I'm kind of like, this leg is bent, and the knee is pointing towards the sea, away from us. This is the in. Yeah. So then, right side, kind of go like, probably. Not like this, not like that. And again, it will probably be even shorter, like that. And then why don't you back up and like even this one, like that's why you do this weird thing with the legs, because you don't want to go like, you don't want to draw the shoe like a flat blob that I do here. Don't do what I'm doing, chat. Study your shoes, study your feet. Do those feet studies. Oh, ground pound Amelia. I want to make you. Holy smokes, pants. Scale looks. I mean, all of Ame is like wonky. I'm trying to compare it to Gura. I go like, I'm not exactly a super fan of her skirt either, but you know. What's a poor artist to do? Poor artist who hasn't done her homework when it comes to drapery. What are they supposed to do? Chat? Are we here just to suffer? Apparently. Alright, if that one is pointing, hang on, let me. Working without reference is a bad plan, chat. It's a terrible plan. I shouldn't be doing this at all. Okay. Yeah, but in the immortal words of Inama Inanis, drawing is hard. Yeah, because like then it kind of comes towards us. And if that is like the, yeah, because if that is her, I can just cheese it and do like that. That could work. That could work low-key. Yeah, because like she's standing on her toes, right? So that is Like you have the underside that is like the underside of your heel right there. Okay. I don't think. Oh. I could do the. Like this is how I know that in a lot of mangas they have like this pattern and then they just slap it onto the shape. But if doing so flattens the shape because like this grid doesn't conform. The straight lines of the pattern doesn't conform to the orientation or the shape of the form. In this case, the skirt. You see that in a lot of mangas and like high schoolers and high school students or whatever wearing skirt, or not just high school students, but they have like this and they just plop it up and go like. And at a glance, it looks okay, but like the moment you stop and pay attention to it, it's like, wait a minute, like it's drapery, it's folded, and so on and so forth. Like it's not a pencil skirt, or is that what it's called when it's a really tight skirt? It's really. But even then, it's wrapping around a round form, so it would still show some sense of curvature, not just and it flattens the forms and work against it. So it's like one of those things. Like once you notice it, you can't unsee it. But of course, like this is a very well done illustration. So we got like you have the template here, but got like they still gone. The artist has gone out of her way to sort of do the whole, make sure that it conforms to the folds of the skirt. But at the same time, like I also want to keep it like these simple colors. But I also think that the skirt might be too dark, question mark. What if we do this? Will that be too... No, that could work. Like, I think that this... this whole... still works. It's just not so dramatic, and it actually works better because the C is so gosh darn it! Now we lose the boot. We lose the shoe in value wise. That's not good. That's not good, chat. And now the average color of the skirt looks closer to what it actually is, because there's more bright excuse me, more bright colors than there are dark colors. Yeah, anyway, better, and so it's not and like she turning, then yeah, she would have some hair covering the profile of her face. something like this. Of course, we can make nice sharp by coming in with the other color. And we're not going to give her any eyes, because eyes are sissies. And again, we could just, I saw just before the stream today an interesting thing about posing characters. I saw a video. Javi or Javis, not Jazza, but Javi. Javi can draw, and he talked about like a bit of an epiphany that he had. It was like when posing characters, it's all about them triangles. It could be a triangle, you know, that makes things, poses more visually interesting. Because I don't know, reasons, I guess. But basically, you would go for triangle in. Does her hair? No, her hair kind of stops right there. So it's. But I still kind of like to give some sort of color. Alright. Something like that will make it a little bit visually interesting. So you can have the triangle in the pose itself, or with the limbs, like Gura's leg here, or alternatively negative space, which is here. Basically triangles when it comes to posing. Or the pose by and large, because you get the... right? Which means that this is not necessarily a perfect ideal pose, but it's a pretty decent one. You got a triangle here, you got a triangle here, negative space, triangle there. So maybe that is the solution, chat. Maybe that is the solution that I've been looking for. Triangles. That doesn't. Doing some test chat, standing up and trying to have the same pose, but of course I don't have a rail to to lean on. I'm kind of leaning up against the leaning up against the wall. No, that isn't. It doesn't seem to have to be. Seem to be the solution. Oh my goodness, this is a hideous, ugly blob. I could try to. You know what? I don't think we're gonna try to salvage this on chat. I'm just gonna ditch it. To be honest. her skirt kinda goes, like, it doesn't stop at her waist, it goes a bit over her waist. Which means that this probably needs to go like up to about here, and down here, down here. Whee! Nope. 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 Okay, let's try to go against the that is a figure. That is definitely a figure. You can probably tell that I'm not very experienced or seasoned when it comes to drapery and skirts and these sorts of things. There's a lot of, despite having been at this for 8 years, there's a lot of stuff that I still don't have much of a mileage in. So but then again, you know, you're not gonna be in here at like 600% zoom and go like, if it works from a distance, then I'm happy, right? Excuse me. Cough is getting better, but it lingers. Oh, we could tempted to do this. That is like a classic. Give you a sense of scale and something like, yeah, there we go. Birds flying in the sky. Alright, is there anything else we want to do with good old... I mean, we could just make this a little bit wider to just sort of show that this is a skirt and it kind of like it goes outside of her. That it sits on the outside, although looking at in the reference, it's actually the opposite. You have the shirt kind of folding a bit over, like that. You know, she looks like she's. Yeah, because. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like it's the shadow, but. Meh. We can use light and shadow to sort of better illustrate the form, right? All right, that's. Ah, man. But I do wanna like isolate it from the. How do I do that? Control Shift. No, Alt, Control Alt, I think. Yeah, because if I now go on the shadow layer and delete, Ame is in shadow. It's not necessarily the, but it is. We'll just try it. And see what we get, chat. We will just have to try and see. No, kind of sculpting, refining, turning into something paintery. Also not be it's that frustrating thing of like be random but at the same time not random. Yeah, that's what you get for not working from reference, you absolute dingus. Probably something like that. Is her? Oh yeah, that's her hair. I'm like, why is her skin two different colored tones? Like, what the heck? What the heck? I remember early on early on there was another VTuber who had the same artist as Ame as their mom, as the terminology goes. I remember enjoying, kind of popped up into my feed because she I don't know, also Hololive and piggybacked off the explosive phenomenon that was Hololive English Myth. And I remember enjoying her. She had some Minecraft streams, and I remember enjoying that. But she also ran into some issues with some copyright ownership stuff. So I honestly can't remember if it turned out okay or not, but if she just disappeared, or because I remember one where she had, like, I think it was a hardcore Minecraft, or it was just a silly little Minecraft challenge. Go like, yeah, you know, if I die, the stream ends when I die, and she hilariously died. I think it was to a bee. Very early on, something like a half an hour into the stream, and you know, it was hilarious, but she kept her word. Though she kept her word, and they go like, yeah, well, that's the stream, guys. Thank you for coming by. In like Ashen English, as is the term. I mean, yeah. Kind of. I mean, I'm on to something. I'm cooking, chat, but it might not necessarily be the most genius plan to do this. On the same layer, as it were. Yeah, goobity ba. Gooba's not flat, she's aerodynamic. Or as Ina said, flat is justice, so yeah. Maybe a little bit less. A little bit more like that. Something like that. I don't know. trying to think in terms of light and shadow, chat, but it's one thing to shade basic spheres and get away with it, and cylinders, but you know, this whole, even though it's the same principle, it's still tough to pull off. You're like, oh yeah, you know, it's just fingers are just cylinders, and yeah. Just shade it like that, you know, just treat it like a cylinder, dude. Like, it's not that hard. Yeah, it is. That's probably maybe some rimline around there. I'm trying. That's her arm. Trying to think in terms of cast shadow. Might just be. Yeah, that you get something like that. Ooh. But because of the arm and the cast shadow, therefore you get this. So frustrating, but also, you know, encouraging, but also frustrating to go like, oh yeah, you know, look at the pros who do this and go like, oh yeah, they're doing the same thing, principally speaking, but it's just like, oh yeah, it's just so effortlessly, and it still looks so slick and elegant, and I go like, ah, but I want to do that. How do you do that? Well, you know, I've been doing it for 25 years and working 6 hours a day every day. And I'm like, oh, dang. That's how you do it. That's how you get good. Yeah. And I should, again, probably just make this solid and just focus on Ame. And nope, I want to be on the shadow layer. Trying to the best of my limited ability describe the form better with shadow. Yeah, but then again, like, I wouldn't be in shadow. The ground wouldn't be in shadow either. Pavement. Oh. We need a shadow layer, but we also need to sort of, what was it? Alt Control Alt and subtract Ame from the equation. And instead, they would probably have like cast shadows. Yeah, baby. Something like, I don't know. I might be a bit better interested just. I know that you're supposed to like, oh yeah, just. I suppose we could try that. Like, take the actual figure and then sort of just, you know, squash it. How do you, I don't know, do you turn that into a pivot point? No. Like I do know, like, to like get a the basic idea is to go like, you take the layer and you just sort of like offset it, whatever, and then you know, you don't erase it, and that's right, and boom, you kind of like, yeah, now I have a shadow. Shadow Emma, but yeah. Okay, so these big. Okay, the shadow layer needs work. We could let's go for the purple. Just make it darker. And more. No. Okay. But I'm just going to apply it to just Amelia and Gawr. That could work. Again, if we just want to keep it simple, stupid, and not be overly fancy with our Shadows and getting good shapes is hard. Now it just looks muddy and ugly. Blah. Blah. Bad. Uh-huh. How's that work? See what I'm going for here, chat? Am I making sense? Visually interesting shapes. I have no idea if that looks like a skirt or... I mean, it's better than nothing. Yeah, you have some big, you have some medium, and some small. And I'm running out of water. An hour and a half in. I can do this, chat. But I don't know. Maybe a little. Yeah, you need to think of the. There's a little bit. Just a smidge. And I need some on the collar. I mean, it's not the greatest up close, but, you know, like I said, repeating it more for myself than you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna hit on like a broken record at times, but it's just, it is what it is, chat. And yeah. And who knows, maybe they will. Not not necessarily go all the way up there, but you know, you never know. And we should probably try and emulate Emma's hair. Her beautiful golden locks. We can try and emulate a she obviously have it. Sort of, or maybe not. That might not necessarily be the best spot. Maybe you can just do a bit of a shadow shape at the top here. If I remember now I'm getting it repetitive. If I'm remembering correctly from... that might be too much. Yeah, it's too much. Let's get rid of it. I remember from... I'm not very good with hair because that was like one of the last things that I did on the portrait drawing course. So I'm not super confident into it, but if I remember correctly, it was shadows was a good thing, a good big part of what made hair pop and look, give it that volume and all that stuff. But and was it also triangles? I think it was triangles. Triangles was the shape, go-to shape. I should probably review. Yeah, Gooba's little hands. Her little fingers. Absolute legend. But can I? If I alpha lock this, no. Actually, I think I need to put these in the same group and then, yeah, that is much easier. That makes my life a heck of a lot easier. How is her hoodie? It's just one big blob, really. Why would Gooba just have a big blob for a hoodie? Her head is empty. I still love that. I didn't see the stream itself, but I do love the well, somebody who made an anime short of her, like had the whole, he was interrogated and shrimp, and it was like a Blade Runner reference. One of her. That was hilarious. I always laugh at this one. Like 5 times 5, and she's like 25, and she doubts 20, 25. She doubts herself, and then she starts counting. Like 1, 5, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and boom, and she just sort of flips off chat with the bird. Gives them the bird. That's so funny. I guess this one could kind of continue down there, something like that. And obviously, you never, like, that was Adam Savage. Granted, like, he wasn't really talking, Adam Savage of Mythbuster fame, he wasn't really talking about like illustrations like this. He was more referring to miniatures. But he always like a miniature is never done. It's abandoned, because like you could tweak, you could stay on it, you could stay with it and tweak it until the cows come home, or something to that effect. And eventually, at some point, you kind of just go like, you know what? I mean, this is where we call it quits, guys. Or alternatively, go like, we would like to have the miniature so we can actually shoot the shot. But I go like, no, I want to just 5 more minutes, and go like, it's at that 20 hours ago or something like that. And go like, oh, right. I guess I did. Did I say that? Did I do that? Yes, you did. I suppose there will be some roundness to this. A little. No. Nope. And I think this is way too big, so we need to push this. I mean, we could just leave it like that, and then just taper this on. That works. Good contrast. Is it a good contrast, by the way? Yeah, that's a good contrast. That's what we want, chat. That's what we want. Maybe a little bit on the heel. And I suppose we could just give it a good... And then this leg is in front of that leg. So we're gonna get it. And you probably have it like a cast shadow for the knee here, something like that. Right. So the plane will change. It's a fairly hard shadow, so maybe we can soften it up a little bit. A little bit. Soften it. Soften. Question mark? Nah, that looks... I think that looks... Yeah. That looks better. Big fat tail, Gura. You big fat tail. That's probably too much, but we can always take it back. Gotta step away from it, chat. I'm gonna save it right here. I need to refresh my water supply. Don't touch that dial, chat. I'll be right back. All right, back in the biz. We are like I'm happy with the cloud. It's similar to the tutorial, but different enough. Like I'm taking my own, so similar to that. The faint little stars, kind of cute and adorable. We have a trinity of birds, which is always good for scale. We have our two characters, they are shaded. Which is the name of their little duo, and I guess we could just throw the speech bubbles in with them. It works either way, whether you read it from the left or right. The important thing is that you this offhand comment is the last thing that you read, so it kind of Gura. Amen. And then we will. Oh, we could move it this tail. There we go. Something like that. Oh. I mean, we could probably move it like that. There we go. And kind of want to where is that? Bezier curve. I think we could. I think. I don't know if it's work. Oh, I can't. I can't use that one. Oh, that was easy. What was it again? Was this one? Yeah. Okay. Obviously, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do. I don't know. 5. Yeah. Or maybe just 2. Yeah. But their style stroke. There's the Amisama that I remember. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I like the snoozy beats, but they kind of end abruptly. I was a little bit tired of what's his name? Pause sounds, because I only had like an hour of music room, and I listened to that hour every day for Inktober, but okay. So the big challenge now is this Lassie. Which I have no idea how to handle. And also, we need something for the pavement. I kind of... Can we do... Can I pattern? How do I... That's kind of dope, actually. But how do you apply a pattern again? I don't know, Krita. Apply pattern. Pattern fill. A fill layer with texture. Is it a separate layer? Special layer type. Fill layer. Oh, here we go. Pattern. Oh, we're not gonna add dots. Pattern, not screen tones. Where was it? This one? Sick. But that. Wait, what? I can't. Or did Krita just glitch on me? I thought you could transform. You can transform vertical, right? With the full fill tool selected, go to the options. Where is the fill tool? So instead of just a simple layer, where is? Yeah, but that's just... What does it say? Select the fill tool. Go to the options and choose pattern. Oh, it's in the tool options. Click continuous regions, similar color, fill mode. I don't see it. Chat. Find fill source and select pattern. Oh. And then this is the pattern that we've selected, and then we just G. Now we can, aha. Okay. So if I select pavement, G, and perspective distortion. Would you look at that, chat? That is beautiful. That is enough to make a grown man cry. Or something to that effect. Let's just do that. I am... That made me more happier than I expected. Let's leave it. Let's do a 60% visibility. Yeah. Maybe. For some variety. Some visual variety. Ah, now we're cooking with gas, chat. Now we're cooking. Now it's not so boring, right? Ooh, 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 ooh. And before we do that, we need to we can, if we copy the layer, paste in a new one, and offset it. And can we find that? Color. I was no. That is gonna be like but now we are painting purely on those. Okay. But we could also do Control Shift I think. Or can we crank up the opacity to 100%? And W? All right, like that is way too intense, but because the wait, shadow. Yeah, shadow is set to hard light. We are just experimenting here, chat. Oh, of course. That probably needs to be underneath. Yeah, like that can be done, but like it's just like, you see what I'm going for here? Like they all because then you will get like all these edges would get like shadow. Yeah, like it would be a cool detail, but I don't know how to like do that in an economic way. So I think we're just gonna leave it like this. But you can sort of see, like, I'm trying to give like texture and three-dimensionality to the tiles. Right. But instead we are just going to go no, not the basic. I want the basic opacity. Opacity, my beloved. Oh no, that might be a bit too big. Just something to add a little visual spaz to it so it's not so uniform. And congratulations, now we have our pavement. There might even be a quick, elegant, and sexy way to sort of like have them like checkerboards or something like that, but and so that solved the pavement predicament. Christmas came early this year. Yeah. Mwah. What are all these? Notifications. OBS disconnecting. That's a bit weird. Well. A thing I would like to try to add to Gura, Gubidiga, is like this little kickoff thing. She's kicking. You know, she has these little super tiny. You know. Or this is probably easier to do with You know what I'm talking about? Like the anime, the anime kickoff thing that she that they do, but I'm not sure how to like do that with just that's a lot of layers. Okay, it's pretty good. But I think I could use some. I don't know how I'm just being boring and repetitive, and that's not what I want at all. Yeah, because the idea that like she kicks off some dust. Yeah, something like that. Even the kickoff dust has shadow. There's something about that. I don't know. That might be smidge too intense, but yeah, something like that, maybe. I'll just collapse that, include that in with Gura. Does that work? Is that weird? Alright, well, I'm kind of like, there's some improvement with Ame, there's some improvement with Gura. Gura was pretty solid right out the gate. Improvement with Cloud, we solved the pavement issue. Ame lost her coat, but whatever. We add some stars to the sky, some birds, and now we just need to tackle the sea. Where is... can we find something real quick on Pinterest without me ending up scrolling for an eternity? Sunset sea painting sounds like a good of course they have end and start so abruptly. The videos. Ooh, this is pixel art, but yeah. It's not exactly what I wanted, and of course all of these have like the sun as their center focal thing, which doesn't really help me that much. Take me back home. Take me home, sweet home Alabama. Where is it? Should have done this, of course, before I started the stream, but okay, like we have water, but it's just we have water, cartoon water, but we haven't really have like the sunset version of it. It's just regular water. Where is the regular water? Blah, 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 blah. Not the most entertaining stream in the history of ever. Listening to somebody browsing for reference. We could just throw things at the canvas and see what sticks. Yeah. Wasn't exactly the most well, it was kinda successful, but like, okay, how does that work? I suppose the sunset. See images. I mean, kinda. There's no. Well, the sun is hasn't dipped below the horizon, but like it's still. But then I want the sun to be off center. No. Stop putting the sun in the focal of your sunset photos. You're not helping. It's all art. Look at that. Vaporware. That's not exactly the aesthetic that I'm going for. That could work? Question mark. But yeah. Okay, can I? Okay, mute this tab. What was his name? Okay. Easy. Easy background. Blah, 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 blah. course I can't of course, but since I can't remember. Watch. Alright. Idea? I don't know. Watched. Nothing. Blah, blah, blah. Stupid YouTube. No. What are we gonna do? Well, we'll just... Groupies... we can just use it as a selection and hide the selection marching ants, and then we'll just... start wide, I guess, and then... something like this, I don't know. Just gotta, you know, trust the whole process, do the whole trust the process thing. Or what? Hang on. Oh, no, hang on. I mean, if I flip it on its head, but I also need, obviously, I also need to mirror it. Layer, transform, mirror. What is it? Vertically? No, horizontally. Ah. Transform, mirror, horizontally. Boom. Yeah, this cloud, but this cloud, we're just gonna throw that right above the sea. And then we're just gonna lower it. Lower the opacity. Does that work, chat? Does that work? organizer is kind of distracting right now, not gonna lie. Just it adds something, and of course it's entirely possible, chat. It's entirely possible that they are just by this incredibly perfectly still lake. So it's so frustrating. I can't dig up that. Art tutorial. No. My Google skills is crap. Alright. You gotta give that one. I'm gonna have the stream just see having me scrolling through YouTube for an art tutorial. But we could experiment with filter, artistic, no, not halftones. Oil paint. I don't see any difference. Okay. Yeah, because I'm wondering if there are contrast, filter, penalty, saturated, dot. Pixelize? Oh, that just instantly pixelizes. Ooh. Does that mean that I can turn the whole... Wait, if I drag that one out... No, can't do that. If I take... Hang on, if I... Filter... Oh, I can't do it on... I can't do it on groups. Okay. But it was a happy little accident. Not exactly what I was after, but you know, hey. Alright, give me that upside down cloud. I would like to go like, is there some sort of What does raindrops do? It does that. I mean, it's kind of nice, but not, again, not the effect that I was going for, chat. Or is it some sort of blur? Colors. Enhance. Wavelet noise reducer, no. Map. Small tiles, other. Wave? Ooh. Are we cooking, chat? Aren't we cooking? Wavelength. I think we are. Oh. You seeing this, chat? This is batshit and crazy. That is exactly horizontal wave. Okay. What if we like go back to default? Vertical. Shift that to 50. Is it? No, I don't think that's it. Like the horizontal wave goes like that. I'll take that to Gentleman's 75 and shift. 20, 40, 35. Uh, 69 giggity. I mean, it does. Turn it into a, and I guess that applies to the entire layer, so now I can just move the whole thing further down if I want to. Because I assume that if this is the halfway point, the distance All right, this one is at, roughly speaking, isn't this like a, yeah, so if you want to be like super duper accurate about it, this cloud would be something like down here. That still leaves us with a lot of like, but I don't know if that is even correct, like scientifically speaking. Yeah, because like, yeah. But it doesn't have to be scientifically accurate either. So, and we could also, while we are at it, so we're kind of happy with that, but where's the fence? There's the fence. We can take the fence, we can copy that, paste it in. And we can distort this one. I thought I could just distort this one perspective-wise, but I mean, we could just do this, I guess. Stretch it out. Yeah, because like I'm thinking like turning this into a cast shadow, but I'm not quite sure how to do that, because like you would, they don't just, obviously they don't just go down like boom like that, because that would mean that the sun, you need to distort them. Perspective wise, but unfortunately I don't think that I have like the the perspective is, but you see what I'm cooking with here, chat. The problem is, of course, that we kind of like, we haven't, it's not so much establishing the perspective, it's just like finding the what should I call it, the angle of, you know, where's the sun coming from, where's the light coming from, the light coming from up top and down. So, I mean, we could just, you know, keep it very simple and then just do, you know, 45 degrees. Something like that. And then just can't draw a straight line, or I can draw a straight line thanks to the cheating tool, but something like that, right? And then you would just draw it out like that. We could do that and just call it a day, and obviously it needs to be thinner, but then you could just connect because it's a fairly easy geometry. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that, chat. Let's do that. Which basically means we need to figure out how big was these suckers. Roughly speaking, that thickness right there, I think. If we just lower the opacity a bit. Yep. And then we are just going to make one. And we're just going to do the copy paste thing. Whee! All hail. Now that I think about it, that might not necessarily be super accurate, question mark. Oh, hang on. It's a bad idea to have the master it needs to be at full opacity. All right. Can we just then... Ooh, we can. I honestly do not know enough about light and shadow to say with that I can say with confidence that this is how it would work. I suspect that, you know, these bars here would, like, the shadow would twist as they recede further and further away from... But my brain is already starting to leak out of my ears, and I've been at this for 3 hours almost, so we're just gonna accept this as an acceptable little cheat, right? We're just gonna clamp that down there. Ah, crap. Oh no, are these thinner? Yeah, these are thinner. I had to reset it anyway. Okay. We're just gonna create a new one. And then roughly speaking, the angle, the size, close enough. I'll take it. I'll probably make a template like that, and then we Control V it, and slide that one over there. Collapse it, Control V it. Ah, nope, that's not what I wanted. That is not what I want it. So Sometimes Krita can be so. No, you picked it. No, I did not. I did not. I did not pick that layer. Oh, hi, Mark. Yeah. Okay, so we can just lower the opacity of that. And, I mean, technically speaking, we could just turn that into also hard light. And do I still have that in my collection? Yes, I do. Oh, we just... boom. Now we have the same kind of cast shadow. No, it needs to be on top of the fence. And then we can select. And then we can just. Or I suppose we could just do this. Clean it up, and we could do something like that. Or hang on. Yeah, I think that's kind of fine. Nope. It needs to be. Yeah, there we go. Maybe not necessarily mathematically or scientifically correct, but, you know, I'll take it. And yeah, there's some wavy distortions to the cloud reflection in the lake. I'm happy with that. I'll take it. Maybe we can add a little different. We'll go like this, so it's not a uniform reflection. That's a little bit. There we go. How does that look like saturate? I mean, it works, and you know, she kind of becomes a focal point. Maybe we should just dial it back a little bit. So the reflection, it remains a background element and it's not competing too much with Ame. I'm just saying it for the meme. I wasn't really much of a Watson viewer. Like of all, when I think about it, all of Myth, I think that was the one that I watched the least. But yeah, like I'm happy, chat. there's some room for improvement. Was like, Ame looks like she's really, she's doing like a forward lounge or something, but well, she's got her, it's leg day, I guess. Gura overslept or something that she's just doing. But yeah, Ame also needs now she definitely needs a cast shadow, because otherwise it would look weird, because like, the fence has a cast shadow, but Ame does not. How do you explain that? Checkmate. And yeah. I don't think that we can put that there. We're just, what's this? That is shadow. We're just gonna call that shadow. Right, and we're just gonna have to crank that up to 100. I think we can unlock that layer and make a new layer, and then of course go back to our Ame-same color, shadow color, and I think we're just gonna have to, not normal, we're gonna put it in hard light, and I think I'm just gonna have to eyeball this one in chat. I'm gonna have to be real with you. It's kind of weird. Why does it keep doing that? Let's just go like, yeah, okay, and then like her skirt. Right, I don't know. Needs to tuck the shadow underneath her shoe. I don't know. Her head, something like, I don't know. I am not confident. Well, it wouldn't go that way anyway. It would follow, obviously it would need to follow the the perspective, or the light source. I want to try that Ame thing, because now I have an idea. Of, because you squash it and that was a horrible thing to do to poor Ame. Yeah, but I need to find some way to like cast her. Oh, now I'm just I need perspective. Okay. Something like that, but I also need to have her like, I don't know. Like, I want her flat. Man, why can't you just be flat? Maybe it's easier if I just do rotate her like this, and then Oh, I can't do that. Or do I first have to like commit to it? Like, I want her like that. And now I can distort the perspective. I think I also need, hang on, before I need to do that. I think I need to flip it. Transform mirror horizontally. Nope. Vertically. Transform mirror vertically. Oh, where did she go? There is Ame. Yeah, now we're cooking. Look at that, chat. Look at that. And I might have to. Now we can distort the perspective. We just gotta get try to align the feet, roughly speaking. And then we're gonna try to align you with the ground plane somewhat. Man. Oh. I think this is pretty. I think that is about as. I mean, it's the shadow who's going to get distorted and stretched out anyway. We're going to take that. We're going to go brush, and then we're just going to need to. Move it and get roted Ame. Something like that, and boom. Right, and or okay, isn't there something like then you select everything on the layer, but you also want to like, because I guess this fuzzy line here, if I want to no, oh wow. I suppose we could just turn it fuzzy at the ends. I think. Why is this gotta be so hard? You know what? Screw it. Plus. Tiny. How's a bathroom break? One moment, chat. Don't touch that dial. Alright, we're back. Advantages and disadvantages of being a hydro homie. The advantage is, of course, you stay hydrated. The disadvantage is, you gotta take them bathroom breaks. At least I do. But it's not necessarily a negative because you sit a lot. So you can get off your butt and stretch and walk away from your drawing or illustration, and then come back and look at it with fresh eyes. Anywho, we have Shadow Ame, which needs to be in hard light mode. But I don't see any difference between hard light and I don't know, saturate. Alright, I'm gonna... That is not hard light. That is hard light. This is not hard light. Krita, please. Maybe go away. Because if I make a brand new layer and turn that into hard light, why not? But again, the shadow might... you know what? It could be that this... Alright, hang on. Let me try something. Okay, now we've done the good old, the classic IT trick. Turn it on and off again. Why not? Krita, you big dingus. Alright, well, we'll just eyeball it, chat. We'll just eyeball it. And call it a day. No, did not want to. Oh yeah, it's because I held control and the hotkey for collapsing layer is control plus E, but the hotkey for toggling between eraser is just it's just E. It's just E, chat. Actually, it's the other. Should be the other way, kind of. What am I doing, chat? What am I doing? What am I doing with that? I'm trying to go for that whole get this thing cast down. I mean, it was kind of dope that they overlap the way that they do. But it's not really the effect that I was going for. Question mark. There we go. That is not a very elegant shadow of Ahmed, but and yeah, I probably also need to, now that I think about it, I'd be like, there we go. And yeah, like the skirt goes outside of her legs, of course, obviously, and then you can like tapers up to here, kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit, and then goes out again, or it goes up a little bit. I'm gonna adhere to perspective, keep the angle the same, and then it goes out again because of torso. And now my brain is definitely melting. Well, her head would. Gosh darn it. Come on. Like something like that. does this have to be? I feel like I'm making this way harder than it needs to be, but you know, hey, that's just how I roll. And you know, or it starts wide. That's how I know. It starts wide and then it's small, and then there's a straight portion, and then it goes out again to make the torso. And then probably like an elongated shadow of her head. And a really freakishly long that's her chin. Make me stop, chat. Make me stop. And that one casts over there. That shadow. Holy smokes, that arm is gonna be. That elbow is down there. And there's a tiny little triangular, but I guess that triangular shape, like it just gets really, really, it gets really, 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 really stretched out, chat. I could just something like that. That is a horrible cast shadow. Oh my goodness, and Gura needs one too. Of course she does. Hers would probably be like all the way over here. I'm just gonna silhouettes for the win, baby. We're just gonna call this cast shadow. So many layers. Oh my good. Oh my gosh. Alright, it's just this silly little arms of hers. Yay, look at that. And thanks, I already hate this, but okay. Finish the cloud, I said, and here I am wrestling with frickin' cast shadows. This one needs to go even further back. again, if we take that down to a 55 and you take these down to a 55, then you go like, yeah, and it's not as I think that like those cast shadows are absolutely hideous, but holy crap, I am not going back to this illustration here for a third time. I want to get this over and done with. The main objective, the main study was the cloud, which turned out happy, and then of course I, in true fashion, overshot my capabilities with I thought it would, again, it would be easy if I just did the, in my head I would go like, oh yeah, let's just keep it simple with just shapes for the characters, because there's no way I can do what you see here in the character sheets, go like that attention to details, go like, nope. You're not even gonna get that with when the characters are this small anyway. So yeah, it's the cast shadows were the biggest. The form shadows are not necessarily that bad, but the cast shadows, holy crap. But, and I mean, you could just turn them off. Not cast shadows. But then it looks a little bit flat. And the cast shadows of the fence really helps make it pop a little bit, but the cast shadows for the characters are absolutely hideous. And ideally, you would kind of just like make a copy of the character layer and then just transform it and distort it into perspective according to where the light source is and all of that jazz. But like, I can't get that, I couldn't get that to work. And yeah, the results were less than stellar. It would probably be better if I, like, had they been standing up against the wall or something, then the whole super easy, barely an inconvenience cast shadow would just like, it'd be like a 1 minute job or whatever, but instead we just end up screwing around with all of this. So yeah, cast shadows are cursed, but then again, that is like a, I don't know, 10% failure, quote unquote, compared to a 90, what I would consider to be like a 90% success rate. Room for improvement, most definitely. Gura came out the best. Watson, unfortunately, looks like she's lounging forward, but yeah, I caught that mistake. Too late. Poor planning on my end, basically. Tunnel vision towards the cloud. Gotta review and reflect upon what we learned, but you know, it's a fun little piece. I'm glad I did it nonetheless. Yeah. I mean, it works at a distance. It works, or maybe not even the cast shadows. The cast shadows might not even work at a distance, but the yeah, the cloud, which is kind of like the big thing, works at a distance. Works very well, I dare say. It's not as blended as the original, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Stylistic choice. Yeah. I don't know, 7 out of 10, something like that. Alright, but the important thing is that we did it, chat. That's the important part. And now we can go and brag about it on social media. Yay! Preparing your feed. Please stand by. And I've been so caught up on stuff that I haven't really been posting. People are following me on wait, did I sort of spike in my followers? I can't remember that I had 37 followers. Anyway, we are not doing that. We are, where are we? We are streaming projects. Amatame. Amelia. Amelia Watson Gawr Gura. Meeting under sunset cloud. Yeah. Done. Let's see. What's this? 6 hours, roughly speaking. Hello. All is said and done. Smiley face. Let's go with my usual hashtags. Where is my stuff? There we go. But instead of Inktober, we are going to go with Hololive. Maybe. And I don't know. Zero. Okay. Amen. Amen. I have no idea. Post new. Streaming. I probably shouldn't be doing this on stream, but now that I think about it, but whatever. Punk, punk, and post. There we go. All right. Okie dokie. Now, the big question is, what are we gonna do for next tutorial Tuesday? I'm thinking pixel art. Because I really want to upgrade my avatar. That could be fun. I haven't done pixel art forever. Or, no, I don't think I've ever done pixel art. And that filter effect that we kind of discovered by a happy little accident, that could be something to look into. So, which basically means I can make the avatar with regular brushes and then just add that pixelated filter on top. Ooh, instead of quote unquote traditional pixel art on it, on top of it. That could be fun. Yeah, I think that's it's not necessarily super advanced. I'm just go like the design of the avatar that I like, which is the one that I have now, is fairly simple. It just needs to be solid, so it's no longer transparent. Then I would like to turn it into pixel art kind of thing, low-key pixel art. So yeah. Excuse me. The only difference is, of course, I would need it to have several different versions of it, different moods and stuff like that. But yeah. But that's about it, chat. And so that's for Tutorial Tuesday. And yeah, well, let's make a manga series. We'll just carry on track. I'm not sure if I'm gonna draw the other side of that blasted gun or if I'm just gonna skip straight. Also, I noticed afterwards I got so tunnel vision with the gun that I noticed I forgot to draw her boot, which was also another thing that I was supposed to do. Or we should just dive into trying to get her face right. Boot and face instead of gun. Yeah. That sounds reasonable. But yeah, those are the plans. Plans for the week. So, yeah. Until then, keep drawing, keep having fun. And I'll see you soon. Okay? Bye-bye.